The Sentinel spent some time with Vax at the lab in New York, ensuring that she was alright. They bonded over their losses. As painful as it was, knowing that each of them was not alone in their pain comforted them. After a little over a week of peace, the Sentinel's house phone rang. That's strange. The Sentinel hesitantly put his arm out for the phone. I never get calls. He picked it up. Hello? He paused, waiting for the message to be relayed. His face drained of color. I'll be right there. He put the phone down. Who was it? It was Quinn, the Sentinel expert for the government. The president's been killed by what they think might have been a GAR attack. Wait, what? Hold on. I thought that maybe the trusted GARs here on Earth might have turned, but they've been killed too. All of them in the same attack. The president may not have even been the target, simply collateral. We have to help then, obviously. Vax stood up, preparing herself. We? Well, you're not leaving me here. Right. The Sentinel remained still, swallowing his breath before he spoke again. I was just hoping that this was all over. I hate to break it to you, but I looked ahead. There were like 12 more units in our history book that you're at least part of. Vax walked over to him and took his hand. She and the Sentinel flashed away and appeared at the scene of the attack. They appeared in the center of a meeting room. Bodies were strewn across the floor and the walls charred. Plasma lingered like a smoldering flame. Quinn stood in the corner with her hand over her mouth, nervous, constantly looking down. The Sentinel counted the bodies. There were 6 GARs on your board. Yes, Quinn replied. There are only 5 bodies. Who's missing? Vax asked. Do you know where Zygar is? The Sentinel asked. Are you suggesting he did this? Quinn asked, concerned. The lights in the room burst. The Sentinel instinctively wielded his gauntlet. Quinn pulled a pistol from her waist holster. Vax hid behind the Sentinel. Maybe it was nothing, the Sentinel suggested after some time passed. Quinn began to lower her weapons, but raised them again as a banging noise blasted on the other side of the wall across from them. The Sentinel's gauntlet caught aflame. They waited as the banging on the wall continued. The only light in the room came from the Sentinel's flame, however it was diluted by the gas from the broken lights. Vax coughed as she inhaled noxious fumes. The banging stopped for a moment, and they all held their breath. Sentinel, Vax whispered. I'm scared. I know, Vax, he whispered back, not taking his eyes off the wall. I am too. With a final bang, the wall crumbled down. Quinn fired rapidly in the wall's direction, and the Sentinel spewed plasma uncontrollably toward the sound. They stopped. The Sentinel stared, confused. Quinn screamed, prompting the Sentinel to turn around. A massive terror floated behind them, holding Vax in its tentacles. The Sentinel didn't react immediately. What? What the hell? The Sentinel stumbled back. Did you follow me? How? If you attack, the girl dies. The terror's menacing voice echoed through the Sentinel in Quinn's mind. Only warning. What do you want? The Sentinel demanded. Why me? Kranthar the Great warned us about this war. The terror's voice shook the Sentinel's skull. He did not see the potential of the power we could gather with our involvement. Your involvement? The Sentinel asked. You pose a threat to our survival as a species. A voice spoke from behind the terror. The Sentinel snapped his fingers, lighting a brighter flame at his fingertips, illuminating the figure. Zygar. The Sentinel spoke in disbelief. But you were on our side. Never. Those GARs were traitors to Rogar's cause. They were incompetent idiots, sub-GARs. They deserved to die in the name of Rogar. Zygar floated before them, lowering his thin, pitch-black brows in a scowl. He growled, showing his serrated teeth. Why is the terror here, then? Aren't you indiscriminate of who you kill to conquer the universe? Originals stick together, especially the GARs and the Krantharniks. Hypocrite! The Sentinel scolded the GAR with passion. Silence! The GAR yelled. In order to take this world, we must rid it of those who defend it. The terror's voice rumbled through the ground. Top priority is the protector of worlds. With you gone, we can take whatever we want in the name of Rogar, Zygar continued. And our hive can consume knowledge without resistance. The terror's false eye sparked. So make this easy for all of us, and don't resist, Zygar hissed. The Sentinel's eyes glowed purple. The girl. The terror threatened. Her life or yours? Do not resist. Quinn, put down the gun. The Sentinel said in a somber tone. Quinn thought that he'd given up all hope. The Sentinel had a plan in mind. He knelt down and spun plasma into a sort of string and solidified it into a blade of crystal plasma. He held out the blade in his hands over his head, looking down. Make it quick. The Sentinel waited for Zygar to grab the blade. Zygar hesitated for a moment, but took the blade in his hand. Sentinel, no! Vax yelled. No, don't do it, Sentinel, please, no! She tried as hard as she could to stop him. Let them have me, fight back! Silence, human. The terror scolded her, throwing her across the room. She landed on Quinn, knocking both of them to the ground. She stood up, but Quinn held her back and tried to calm her. She had an inkling of an idea what the Sentinel would do. She watched as Zygar lifted the blade above the Sentinel's head. The Sentinel looked up toward the GAR. The Sentinel twisted his arms in a fashion that untwined the blade. It wrapped itself around Zygar's arm like handcuffs. The crystal chain connecting the cuffs extended into a blade, forcing itself directly into Zygarde's chest. The Terror approached the Sentinel. He blasted plasma at Zygarde, dealing the final blow. He turned around and threw his box at Quinn and Vax, initiating its shield. He slammed his gauntlet into a wall-side light socket. The Terror was mere feet from him before the electricity spread from the impact and to the lights. The broken bulbs allowed no containment for the electricity. Hundreds of bolts of electricity shot down from the lights and hit the Terror, making it vulnerable. The Sentinel pulled his gauntlet from the wall and swung the flaming fist at the Terror, tearing it to shreds with one punch. When the electricity faded, the Sentinel fell to the floor, writhing in pain. Quinn and Vax ran to him with the box. "Sentinel!" Vax ran up to him and tried to comfort him. "That was amazing, you did it!" "It's not over." The Sentinel managed to sputter through his pain. "This wasn't just Zygarde and that lone Terror that made an alliance, it was the two species as a whole. I'm sure of it." He sat up, trying his hardest to ignore the pain. "There are guards left with a will to fight. We need to make sure the Earth is as protected as it can be. The war was never over. It just got a lot more complicated."